make sure I can see well. Happy last day of 2022. Boop, 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 boop. Hello, my name is Braeden, and Braeden Miguel, Colorado activist, go raw rap music. That is me. And we will fit myself into the stream. And we're gonna do. It's been a wild ride of a year. I mean, the biggest thing highlight out of the way is running for office at the Colorado state level. But on top of that, growing my activism in my career and my skills, taking time with friends, taking time for myself, and better learning how to make changes I want to see in the world. And that's such an oversimplification, though, that I want to do a video looking at some highlights. And so picked out a few pictures of my year each month. Gonna share it with you all and hope you enjoy. I'm excited for the year to come and already starting to make changes based on these reflections. But it's always good to document and feel and reflect on your year before jumping into a new one. And I know sometimes it's the winter time and don't always feel like it lines up energy wise. But for me this year, I'm starting to kind of get out of that funk a little earlier and channel some of that. And so for you personally, who knows when the best time to reflect is, if it's winter, spring, summer, and make changes. But for me, we're going to jump into it. So let's share one of my screens, and I have a new folder, year highlights. And we're going to go through this, help with, these pictures are going to help us go through that. And got to remember to stay in frame. So here we go. Started off with January. Coming out of last year, there was some political stuff, even in those off years, school boards, just recouping from putting energy into things that as the year start, I was kind of excited. Still taking in what is Colorado winters, which tends to be slower and colder, and also still has these amazing, beautiful vistas. So one of the themes throughout is that finding beauty in your surroundings, and for us that live here in Colorado, is a bunch of opportunities to take in amazing beauty. Here in a few different places. I believe this was at lunch with a friend. But the biggest highlight for me in January, I think, was a return to climate activism. I don't believe last year there was probably a 6-7 month period where I didn't do too much in the activism space. So it was fun to get around in communities, coming out of a winter, coming out of the year of vaccines became real. It really, one of the themes too here is trying to figure out from an organizing and meeting with other standpoints, what does a world in the US look like with vaccines and with monitoring health as we go. That is my friend on stage, Ian Tafoya, giving a speech, along with sneeze. Some other activist friends I know who they're either holding up signs or helping organize this effort. And I think this is when the movie Don't Look Up came out. So I want to say we had some speakers that were part of that movie even come out to give a speech, which is why there's these bigger cameras. The David Stodenheim, I'm going to butcher that name. I want to say he came and spoke on the need to make environmental things happening. January, taking the beauty, driving around, and hanging out with friends. This is my D&D group. Still hung out with friends, mostly once a week, a few times per month. So that was January. January was, month as usual around winter. There's friend time, there's taking time for myself, taking Colorado's beauty, and some activism. Which leads us into February, where this really kind of hit more to home when it comes to school board and the repercussions of those off-year elections. So we here in Douglas County are the person who helms and leads the school district is called a superintendent. And Corey Wise, this guy who's worked in our school system for 25 plus years from teacher to principal, was our superintendent. Super awesome leader from my experience with him and seeing what he was able to accomplish here. School board running off of mask problems with people wearing masks and a mix of not that many people participating, where they decided to oust him and replace him with someone else at the cost of the reputation and wallets, because they have to pay for his whole salary and whatnot to replace him with someone else. And this is from the protest that happened of teachers and parents, and the opposition to this even tried to figure out what teachers they are to kick them out of the school system. So this actually almost doesn't feel like this year, because this year's had so much in it, but the whole school board situation and the attacks on, I think, a stable and equity-based emphasis for more of these cultural topics and do as you will. So this is a protest that actually was pretty large on a snowy day. It was even hard to park, but people showed up in support, and ultimately they still went through with firing him and what they want to accomplish. And they did this in the worst way possible too. They he had 2 vacation days on over a weekend planned, and they had him come in for a meeting at Friday at 8 a.m. And kind of give him an ultimatum to quit. And also I imagine that just messes with the 2 days you want to take off for your family time and not doing this in a more appropriate and balanced way. So the other highlights are continue Colorado beauty. Look at some of these pictures. Creating things for my friends. This is from our dungeon mastering, and I'm the game master, so this is me building a city for them all to run around with in our games. And but I loved how many people showed up in support. So that's one of the highlights of February. Go to March. Pet sitting highlight. I think it's pet sitting and activism were the highlights for March. Here are some pictures of those animals, working as a photographer in a school, and these are some of the art that I saw and was inspired by. That is like a photographer setup we do. Chipper going out somewhere. Longboarding, taking time for myself, taking Colorado Beauty, dog sitting again. And then this was an activism. This was a march leading to a Chase Bank because they still put a lot of money into fossil fuels. This is also leading up to the next month, which has Earth Day and some other aspects and highlights of the year. Going to an event that honored women leaders, and New Era, which is a youth organizing group. So more of the activism, more of the Colorado Beauty, with a mix of different environments and getting to take care of pets. Petos. So we're almost done with the first third of the year. I believe it is here on March, April. I want to say it was like March 16th, March to April, when I decided to run for office. So I ran for Colorado Senate District 30 to represent this area of Highlands Ranch in Douglas County at the state level. Had my first conversations with like parents, family, and friends around February. And then by March and April, things were already moving. I want to say I declared in March, and then my paperwork was done by April. And I had gotten this water bottle from a friend as a gift one evening after some karaoke. Just being nice, I think, really, and decided to put stickers on it for energy I want to put into the year. So I have cute dinosaurs, I've opened a bottle of campaign, Colorado sticker, different principles from Myra Makes, and World Cepeda, which means bike. It was this cool art project that I got to make and still have around here to this day. Went to this really cool mental health summit that I still want to write reflections on, because I feel like I learned so much about what actually helps decrease depression and increase community. And then part of the year was continued time with activism friends, starting to have weather warm up meetings, more casual. I have these in here because themes of activism is that you got to have fun and find community in the work as you do it, or it's not going to be as rewarding. It's not going to be as joy-filled, and it makes it harder to do. But when you do have community and you do have others you can share experiences with and hang out, it's a way more fun and rewarding. And I include these pictures because I feel like this is activism a long time, where you're caring and you're doing a lot, but if you're doing it the right way at the same time, you can have fun and still make it work, as long as you know you can eventually put this stuff down. This is one of the main photography things I do, which is larger group pictures, and more back into activism. I want to say this is Earth Day. Started with the rally, and then marched. Another one of those fun pictures where we're getting to hang out and be goofy. Into that evening, going to a concert where they actually gave out kale to eat while you take in hip hop, which was a unique experience in itself. And then more pictures from friend hangouts and getting to do that. That was from, there was a train. They're on a train, not doing a heist, but like a reverse heist. So they're trying to catch the person, and that's our map. I could have an album with just the Starfinder lore. So, all right, jump into May. We're 5 months in. Weather's starting to warm up, which I think is the highlight for May. Is starting to have activities. This was from an event where we honored Corey Wise, the superintendent, and there were a number of activities. This is also like one of the first events I went to as someone who had his paperwork in to run, and was a very pretty day with music and good community and good vibes. Start of summer, but also during this time was when the release of the Supreme Court statements came out, and so this is from the rally to protect women's rights, and just seeing some of the speeches, but just the amount of people come out, which at the time felt like a low point in uncertainty of what this meant. But now with reflection, see kind of the energy around women's rights show up in so many places in the US and to some extent the world, that is definitely in reflection a highlight of the amount of people that were able to come out. And then warmth, doggos, and spring. That's a pretty picture. All right, June. June, I got my bike. I have an e-bike now, which was. I'm not riding as much right now with all the snow and cold weather, but being able to go vroom vroom is lots of fun. And activism work as a photographer and helping get out the word around Waste No More, which was a big highlight of this year. It kind of got lost in some of my reflections because election time is tied in with my own race, which, spoiler alert, I lose. But this is a campaign that was a ballot initiative, so the voters and the citizens get to vote on if it should become a law or not, and these changes become real or not. Was a win, and this is some of our outreach of Waste No More was around composting, recycling for the city of Denver. And so we would go to these events and man booths and help educate and share with people. And this is from one of those days. I'm taking pictures with some of the volunteers. This is from the Colorado Obama Gala dinner. That is Brianna Titone, Congresswoman, I want to say on the Congress side, for our Colorado State Capitol, and it was a fun night. I want to say some more bike pictures. Okay, Moulin Rouge was a highlight. Going to see a play with one of my best friends, and awesome play. I love what they did with it. They spruced up some of the music and they made some more remixes. And we were able to get tickets on the cheap by signing up for like standby seats or like seat giveaways where they only cost like $50, but you don't know till like 2 days beforehand if you'll get tickets. And being able to see this, and then some other friends and family getting to see it on different days, and it was a really fun play. Scene work, costume work, songs were amazing. And that's just a picture of Denver. And then the Douglas County Democratic dinner, so state party dinner, was where this picture was taken. And then these pictures are from our county Democratic Party. And Dave Young, our now treasurer, or was treasurer, still treasurer. That's Barrett doing speaking to the group of people. And then I was doing photography over through the night as like a volunteer role, photographer doing photography. And I won the prize. I have it right here. This is this dinner and this winning this award, Young Democrat of the Year. Braeden Miguel. I took a selfie because I was working as a photographer when I got my award. So people are clapping and they pointed towards me, and then I took a selfie with everyone. And then a few days later, Red Rock show, I actually won these tickets by like sending someone a radio channel, sending in like the code. Won these tickets. And dun 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 dun. And then a little bit more music in Colorado Beauty. So that was summer. June, July here now. More running for office, more enjoying some summertime. This picture has a funny story around it where a friend was running like one of those Mudder 10Ks, and I was interested, but I was like, I don't know what kind of shape I'm in. So let me go just run a 10K and see if I think I could do that plus like other things on top, which in those mud rudders you have to do obstacles. And then I was like, 10K is like 20 something laps around the track. I want to say it's like 24 laps around the track and like almost 4 miles. And I did like half of that, and I had pushed myself. And I run like a good speed, I think a decent speed for me in like a 5K. And then I was like, ooh, I might need to train more before doing a 10K mud rudder. Boba is the best, so I just want to share a picture of Boba, highlight of the year. This is from Sierra Club Action, where we're celebrating the retirement of a coal plant down in Pueblo that was gonna expire in 2050, but they moved up the timeline because of public comment and environmental organizers. This is some of the work that is being done. And so the early retirement year is 2031. And then funny enough, they have these 2031 balloons that they didn't have a reason for the balloons after this event. But I'm running an SD30. I'm turning 30. And so I grabbed the 3 and the 0, and then I had balloons for different videos and events with those, which was pretty cool. That was a fun serendipity, and then like I've been able to fill up these balloons with additional air, which has been a fun. And then kind of the campaigning ramps up. I'm going to this is the Pipe Workers Guild, and one of the AFL, the big union, kind of in the engineering and the construction space, going to tour one of the buildings where they train people, and then also there I am being interviewed for endorsement. And then more environmental activism. This is around more waste stuff. We had a picnic and ate food together. and learned about other things we could be doing around. And then this shirt is one Vic's wearing, where it's I thought it was important messaging to keep, which is strike because the kids have asked us to back them up, strike because the earth is heating so fast, and strike for a Green New Deal, strike because Exxon knew way back when, and all these reasons, strike because solar power is so cheap now, strike because those who caused the least suffer the most, and sort of encapsulates some of what I do from an activism space is I have privilege and freedom and knowledge of how our systems and how our governments work and are structured, and how they impact both them and the private industry, and impacts our environment and how the world's changing. That now it's hard to not use that energy for good and help make a difference. And then we also were a part of a march and parade, and there's me and some of us are holding up my banner, and a group team picture of some of the Douglas County friendos. And I think that's one of the first events. This is a different event, but my name tag, this fundraisers for mom's mental health is an event I went to, where I think is one of the first times I had my name tag, and then also had this amazing musician. I want to say her name's like Tasha. But it was a fun way in being able to, like, I wouldn't have been there if I wasn't running for office. I get to enjoy like music and new connections. And one of the highlights of running in my year was being at places I wouldn't normally if I wasn't trying to meet new people and make that positive difference. I want to say now we got to August. August was a busy month. Campaign stuff. So this is from an event where we toured a fire station. It was one of the events I put on and was informative to the structures at B, from how our EMS and our fire department work. But then I was doing a lot of work as a photographer. This is an innovation school in Cherry Creek, where they have less. So this is our photography setup. We're taking pictures of middle schoolers and high schoolers. But this is sort of their school layout. This and some of the other pictures, where it's more of a modular open space where you can host speakers, and there's these side rooms for more of a traditional class. But then there's also these areas that are drop in and able to do group project work or solo study, and it's really cool to see. And then through August, at the very end, I was able to. There was an environmental activist event telling the Federal Reserve to put less money into fossil fuels, stop subsidizing them, and helping them break record profits for themselves, and instead do something better for the planet with it. And so the Federal Reserve has this big conference up at Grand Teton National Park, which is this beautiful area where a bunch of us from the nearby states of around Wyoming and from Colorado took a few days, did a camping trip, while also protesting. And so I flew in because I had to work that day. I got off work, went on a plane, met up with people. I want to say I worked, maybe it was the day before, and then like the next day I flew out there, but was able to meet up with people. And at the same time, was this amazing way to build community within the activist space. Um, Different groups that had not worked together before or get out, while also taking in nature and reflecting on why we do this work and spending time with people that we enjoy. And so this is from the when we marched in the July 4th parade. I think these are from a different camera, so they're at the end here, but this was what capped August. Was this amazing trip and beautiful, beautiful place to go to. Many memories from this trip. And really did fill my cup up a bunch. All right, last third of the year. Jumping in to September. Work starting to come down a little bit, the photo work. Photo work throughout the year is up and down, but August is the peak. Comes down a little bit, and then I was almost immediately filling in that with political running for office. So one of the highlights that definitely I think supported the leader I'm becoming and would have been as an elected official were these Jedi workshops I did throughout the year with 350 Colorado, and that stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And then this graphic kind of shows different ways you can set up a society that might make it less fair for some people, but the ultimate goal is liberation, which that last picture is taking away some of the blocks like poverty and education from the collective, so that together we all have this shared opportunities and potential, less based on socioeconomic class or geography, and all the different ways it can show up. And it was these hands-on, in-person, really cool events, and there were 3 of them throughout the year. Definitely a highlight of the year. Got to learn, got to share, and shared values with others, and reflect and explore around topics like this. This is from an event, St. Andrew's Church, which is here in Douglas County. This is very open and inclusive church, which is awesome to see. And this is from an event that they put on where they support LGBTQ plus community and many other communities, which is another event I probably wouldn't be at if I wasn't running for office. And now I know this community in my nearby area. They had some donkeys. I took a picture of a donkey from that day. And then this is from more events, Oktoberfest, handing out flyers, and taking in gorgeous sunsets. Like, look at that. Hanging out with dogs, riding my bike, running for office. Things start ramping up. This is October. October was craziness and very quickly became hard to juggle all the different things on my plate. Through that, still taking time for important aspects of, like, this is from the Women's March, and showing up there as an activist, and showing up, me and some Chris Davis, who's the 4th one from me in with the Hawaiian shirt. We're giving out Young Dem flyers, and this is and we did this pretty big march. And there were some amazingly powerful speakers from that day, from Jenna Griswold, our Secretary of State, to these women talking about what's happening in Iran and women's rights across the world. And then some of the signs were just so funny. This is an event put on by Jason Crow. A number of us are young Dems and just other activists hanging out, fall colors, shifts, and working on content. Doing the politics thing, speaking about what I would change differently. This is November, and puppies, our family's pup and my brother's pup, playing around, chilling. This is from election night and watching. I was volunteering with the Democratic Party, and there that day, more dog pictures. This is the day after election day, and I was sitting there looking at some of the results, seeing that I had lost, trying to reflect, and then Kalani came up to me and sat next to me, and heartwarming, and he's been a very positive part of resting since running for office. I thought I had a picture in here with the results, but I lose by like 6,000 votes. Lots of learning though, and picking up my puzzle pieces, because the last month of it, especially after like 6 months of extra work and stress, the last month of juggling, get out the vote, and my video series and more was very draining. That a lot of my November and December has just been sleeping in, trying to find a healthier life balance, and getting to some of my habits like exercise and nutrition that I had let go. I think I'm at my heaviest as of a month ago. I got up to about 217 in weight. I was probably about 200 in January of this year. But prior to that, I had never broken 200 before. And so in the last year and a half, I want to say not this summer, but last summer, I was about 185. That's a pretty big gap that just came from not having a good life balance while running for office, which I would do differently. I would take more time for myself. I don't think it's as worth it if you make those sacrifices. And I also think it makes you less able to accomplish what you're going after. It can just be really hard in the moment to see that. I think my audio is okay. Okay. I went to the summit, DAIC. I think this is the Denver American Indian Convention. No, it wouldn't be a convention summit. Denver American Indian Commission Summit. An event by the American Indian community in this local Denver, Colorado area. Number of speakers and booths. It was a pretty day. Those are different days, but it was a nice day for a Denver trip, and I learned a bunch and met some cool people, which is a good reminder that follow up with some of the groups I met that day, because they were doing some cool stuff this next year. More events. Good reminder. And this is from a K-pop event night where went into the city to enjoy American dance groups performing K-pop songs. K-pop, J-pop. And was this really cool performance music setup, and then just like supportive, cool community. Because I discovered and getting more into the K-pop and J-pop, and then playing some Pokemon. New Pokemon game came out in November. Which brings us, after 40 minutos, to December. And this is an interesting month. I definitely felt coming in this month that I wasn't fully rested, but there were still things I wanted to do and events I wanted to go to. And I mapped out a few, mainly this one in Boulder, and I went and took a few days, stayed at a friend's place, and went to this conference. And so, divest to you, friends. So, divest to you, divestment movement, taking money out of accounts, invested in the fossil fuels or other things that could be better invested for people's resiliences and future, etc. Not only are these global changes, but some parts in the world, these very direct aspects of pollution and greed that are affecting people. And pushing things like university systems, which have these huge endowments, these huge accounts of millions of dollars, some of which can be 200 plus million in fossil fuels that could be green energy, batteries, and other way the world could be pushing. So divest movement is about changing and making that happen. I've been a part of it before, but it's having a bigger resurgency lately. And I showed up kind of just as a supporter. I've worked in environmental groups before. I enjoy taking photography and going to events and meeting these other leaders. And it was also the same time as this Right Here, Right Now Global Climate Summit put on by the UN. And so it was this perfect meshing of being able to call out CU for making this change now and bringing this to a larger discussion of environmental justice and human rights. Hilda there is a speaker who also spoke at our rally. And after the rally, I had like maybe one or two friends who are like sort of advising and helping out. But I met a number of the Divest CU team and worked with them that weekend to have a positive impact, build influence, and alliances with people. Also staying at a place with a cat, so I got to enjoy a cute cat. And CU. These more Divest, some of the speakers there, and people I got to meet. There's a picture I have somewhere where the cat's like in this cardboard box and it's super cute. But bonkers to me, some of you friends, Bridget, Fiona, some of the people I hung out with that weekend, that it's only been a month since I've known you. This is December 3rd. And I feel like made amazing friends and allies, and that's like an ADHD thing, I think, where you build these connections with people faster than the everyday neurotypical person. Like, I get to meet someone, share values with them, and laugh, and like I already want to be like friends and hang out more. And it's awesome when I can do that in activist spaces. Then we can just like continue to have fun and be friends while making that positive impact. But I've only known you for a month, and I feel like hung out a bunch then we all went bowling together and hung out again and group texts, and I'm super happy I made that decision to spend more time, even though I'm still recuperating from my year, but like go do activism things, because I had no idea I was gonna make like a bunch of friends that I enjoy hanging out with. And now from speakers to you all have that, and it's definitely one of my big highlights of the year. And it came in here in the final hour, the final month of it. Then more hanging out with dogs, hanging out with family. Original plan, I was going to be traveling mid-December, but then I got sick, and then there's snowstorms. So I stuck around, and we had a good time as a family. And oh yeah, here was the screenshot for the final results. Ended up getting like 1,000 more votes. I want to say I broke 40K, but still about a 6K difference, which is record breaking for our area. And I think I could have done it. It may have been like a 2% chance, and I would have had to kind of know what I know now, but it was doable. It was just a crazy year, and I'm new to elections and campaigning. So year highlights. Themes of the year: growth and skill, running for office. And then also one of the things I did while running for office was I did a Thursday live stream. So I learned a lot about content creation and live streaming and being comfortable talking to a camera. Super grateful for. A lot of learning in that area. Themes of activism being a highlight, even when it sometimes asks you to put in energy. That when you're spending time in community with people you enjoy, working towards a shared goal, that the energy that you get back from the love and the camaraderie and moving that needle forward is often more than what you put in to begin with. And so that is a huge theme to my growth as a leader, is creating more space and opportunities for that to happen. And the other theme for the year is like everyday beauty. I stopped adding them in here partway through some of the Colorado pictures, but just some of the beauty you can find when you take time to look for it and go look around your environment and explore what you can see. And now my whole year wasn't highlights. It was actually way more like a roller coaster. As I learned things, pushed myself, had to take time, dealing with overwhelm, dealing with loss and trauma. Lost one of our family dogs, the one that I was super close with, and had around, and we got him most of my adult life. And that happening in the busy photo season and running for office, that I feel like have had some time now to come to terms with it and grieve, and have done it a bit. But also, when you're living in stress and working towards something and don't have a lot of extra emotional energy to sometimes like that you feel to sit with those things, can also, that sadness pops up sometimes when you're not expecting it. And these past 2 years, we've had to deal with some loss as a family. My mom's mom and stepdad, who lived down the streets. We've lost them in these past 2 years, and then losing a dog, and dealing with some of the traumas and tragedies from the women's rights stuff, but shootings. That this year wasn't without its lowlights, and I didn't want to make that the focus of this video, but I wanted to point out that it's all not going to be positive. And learning to resilient and lean into vulnerability and community, and also making time and space for that. Yeah, and then I think the other low light too is just how much I worked this year, and a lot of that for the last 7 months, or from when I started running in March and April to November, was just kind of like unpaid work. It was like if a job application process was like, hey, this is anyone can do this, but you just have to persuade 50,000 people to support you and fill in your name. And to do that effectively in a district where the numbers are not in your advantage, you're going to be putting in full-time work, part-time to full-time work, depending on the week. But it's going to be unpaid work on top of things, and it's going to push you to develop skills that you don't have because it's so multifaceted. I wish I took more time. And I wish when I felt some of that pushback to me working too hard, I would have taken more time to rest and get away from it, which I think would have only made it easier for me to manage the whole time. And there's some reflections there about strategically what could I have done differently to get things going beforehand. And I think a lot of that just comes down to being new to it, and also that 7 months isn't enough time to run a campaign at that level. That you really need to put a bigger timeline on it and get certain things in gear on the map beforehand. And I was just, from the beginning, behind the curve more than I thought I was. Okay, but you live, you learn. I'm doing much better now, and it's New Year's Eve, baby. I'm going to go enjoy and watching the Flowbots. I won't be editing and posting this tonight. This will be start of the year reflection video. I'll mash this up later, and maybe I can mash in some highlights from this evening, because I think we're gonna be ending and starting the year off in one of my favorite ways: music, positive, systemic change, hip hop, dancing away. Sounds great to me.
And I'm gonna let y'all know who we are. We are the Flowbots. So repeat after me. It's the F-L-O. Say it down and down. It's the F-L-O. Everybody, it's the F-L-O. One more time, it's the Let's do it. Look, man. It goes for the shot.
Thank you. This is longer than I thought it might be, but is also great to have out there as a reflection. This has been we're just a few years into these roaring 20s, and this decade is super important for the human race and my own life, and I'm happy to have it in the books, and I'm happy for all the growth and ready for what comes next. Sending you all love and positive energy, hoping you're doing well out there. My name's Braeden Miguel. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. By the time this gets out, this next year is going to be full of positive change. And like this one, it's likely going to be a roller coaster of ups and downs. But if you're pushing yourself, you have a growth mindset, pushing for positive change, finding community in those areas, and doing what you can to make your life better and for those around you and show up positively in your own way, I think together, maybe not all of us, but more of us doing that, and there is more of us doing that, we're going to see some exciting and cool changes. And I'm excited what that means for our communities, our cities, our lives. And these next 10 years, these roaring 20s, they started off with COVID and disease, and they're not technically going away, but adapting like we are. And I'm hoping these next 7 years and this next year, like, I'm excited to see where it goes. Send love. Hope you're all well. See you out there. Bring me out. Color actives. And go raw rap music, baby.